Welcome back, everybody, to the Metal Command Podcast. Tony here with you. And let's get into the next topic. Let's talk about Iron Maiden and the Run for Your Lives tour, which kicked off in Europe. And they played their first show in Budapest, Hungary. And, of course, there was a set list reveal of what they played. And for some reason, we have a lot of backlash towards that set list. Not only do we have a lot of backlash towards the set list on this tour, but there are people, a multitude of people, complaining about Simon Dawson, the new drummer, complaining about the fact they think his drum kit is too small. And then we have the band asking people to stay in the moment, as they put it, and not to have their cell phones out during a concert. Okay, so I have a lot of takes on this. Let's talk about the set list, and let's talk about Simon Dawson for a minute here. So I'm looking at the set list. Folks. I don't know what the problem is with it. I don't know why people are complaining about this. But let's go through the set list, and I'm going to go through each of these songs and tell you what I think. So, they led off with Murders in a Rue Morgue, then went to Wrathchild and Killers. So they start off the show with 3 songs from Killers. Now, personally, as an Iron Maiden fan, I'm good with that. Murders in a Rue Morgue is a really cool song to begin the show with. And then they go into Phantom of the Opera. So 4 songs that Paul Di'Anno originally sang on. I'm going to guess they did that as a tribute to Paul. That's just my theory. Not 100% sure if that's what they are doing or not, but that's what it feels like to me. And to be perfectly honest, I think those are 4 great songs to begin the show off with. I mean, one of the reasons I love, for example, Beast Over Hammersmith, the live album from 1982, is that I believe they begin it off with Murders in a Rue Morgue. So you have 4 songs from their first 2 albums. How can you really go wrong with that? They don't play Murders in a Rue Morgue that often. I think the last time they did was about 20 years ago. But it's definitely a cool song to throw into the set every now and then. That's very atypical to their set. Songs like Wrathchild. I mean, Wrathchild's been in that set probably way more often than not. I think they play it practically every show. Not all the time, but it gets a lot of play from them live. Killers has been in the set off and on. In the early first half of the band's career, it was definitely played quite a bit, but sporadically it's ended up in the set as well. Phantom of the Opera is kind of along the same lines. You know, every once in a while they'll throw it in the set. And I don't have a problem with any of those 4 songs. So let's go to the next part of the set list. Number of the Beast. I mean, how are you not going to play that, right? Clairvoyant is the song they played after that off of Seventh Son. Very popular track by the band. We have Power Slave, 2 Minutes to Midnight, and Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Again, 3 super classic songs that, you know, pretty much every Iron Maiden fan loves. We have Run to the Hills, of course. Not surprising. The one song I was a little surprised to see was Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, the title track off of that album. And then you have The Trooper, Hallowed Be Thy Name, and of course, the song Iron Maiden. I don't understand I do not understand what is wrong with this set list. Like, people are all pissed off and flipping out about it, and we want to hear songs like, we want to hear songs like Loneliness of a Long Distance Runner, and, you know, you see people throwing these set lists, these different, like, kind of, these songs the band hasn't played in a very, very long time. First of all, anyone complaining about this should stop and think and realize that we are lucky this band is still breathing and playing shows still. Because when you get guys that are getting up in their late 60s and getting into their 70s, typically bands don't stick around this long. So first of all, anyone complaining about this, you should be grateful the band is still out playing gigs. because there are a lot of legendary bands that we will never get to see again who are not around anymore. And when I say not around, I'm talking about people that have passed on. For example, let's say Lemmy from Motorhead. Motorhead, obviously, long gone. Dio is gone. You know, lots of bands that are not around, or the guys haven't passed away. They just broke up. They don't play shows anymore. So first of all, we should be grateful Iron Maiden is still out playing shows, playing gigs, and doing what they do best at a very, very high level. Let me get that out of the way. The second thing is, folks, Iron Maiden is a band that, as of today, it's 2025, they have been putting out albums since 1980. So for 45 years, Iron Maiden has been putting out albums, which means you have quite a few songs to pick from. And let's be honest, you're never going to be happy with the set list 100%. They have so many songs to choose from. There are so many other great songs that have been in the set list in the past, even on the last tour, that aren't on there. You know, like they played Alexander the Great, a song that everybody has wanted to hear for a long time live. They'd never played it live. They finally started playing it. It's not in this set list, but they did play it quite a few times. You're just never going to be happy. And if you are a band like Iron Maiden, you are going to pick the songs that are pretty popular and maybe throw one or two songs in there that you normally don't throw into the set list. So, for example, in this set list, Murders in a Rue Morgue, not a song that they've performed a lot in the past. It's been very, very sporadic. Like I said, I'd like to say in 2005 they played it. I could be wrong on that, but I believe they did. So you're not going to make everybody happy. You have hundreds of songs to choose from. And what they're going to do is put songs in the set list people want to hear. The songs that have done very well for them over the years. Now, luckily, they have a lot of those kinds of songs out there in their catalog. You know, everything on here is from the first album through Seventh Son. That streak of Iron Maiden albums, you have numerous tracks you can put on there, you can pick from. And it can be difficult. So, you know, they put the title track of the Seventh Son album in there. That's not one you typically see all the time. And you have Murders in a Rue Morgue in there. That's not a song you see that often. Phantom of the Opera is a song that's, you know, they don't play it. I mean, they do play it, but it's not typically in the set list all the time. And then you have the songs everybody wants to hear. Run to the Hills, Number of the Beast, 2 Minutes to Midnight. Songs like that. The Trooper, that's another one. So they are going to put the songs that made them popular in the set list. That's what bands do. So I guess I don't get the outrage over the set list. I think the set list is fine. You threw a couple tracks in there that you don't play too often. I don't get the complaining. Another thing I think is very stupid that people are complaining about is Simon Dawson's drum kit being too small. Folks, why does that even matter? I mean, Nico's drum kit, was it pretty big? Absolutely. But why do you care about that? I mean, maybe it's me, but when I go to see a band play live, I want them to play the songs correctly, obviously, and I want the songs to sound great. And I watched some of the video where you saw Simon Dawson playing. I think he sounded pretty good. I mean, folks, give this guy a break. These are like his first gigs with Maiden. It's one thing to play in Steve Harris's solo band in British Lion, playing in small clubs. It's another thing to become the drummer of one of the biggest heavy metal bands of all time and play on that stage. Give the guy a break, folks. The guy just started playing gigs with Maiden. One of the things that I think if you're a non-musician, if you're a musician, you understand this, but if you are a non-musician, one of the things that musicians will tell you, whether it's a guitar player, keyboard player, drummer, whatever, they're going to play what they feel comfortable with. And when I say play what they feel comfortable with, I'm talking about the instruments that they're playing. Certain guitar players, for example, they like certain brands of guitars that have a low action on them. Some people might have, issues with their tendons in their wrist. They may want a guitar with low action. Like an Ibanez, like some of the Ibanez 7 strings are like that. And drummers will tell you that they put a kit together. And when they put that kit together, it fits their comfort level of how they want to play. So Simon Dawson may not want a gigantic kit because he normally doesn't play on something like that. Personally, I don't care what kind of drum kit the guy plays on. As long as he plays the songs correctly, I'm cool with that. Now, is it different not seeing Nico up there with them after all these years? Absolutely. Keep in mind, this band has not had tons and tons of member changes over the last 45 years. I mean, if you think about it, Bruce was out of the band for a little bit, obviously. But Nico has been in the band since the Peace of Mind album. Up until now. And we have a new drummer. First new drummer since 1983 playing these shows and playing these gigs. Give the guy a break. These are his first shows. So lastly, let me go into probably the biggest part of this topic that has caused the controversy, and that is the band putting out a statement saying they really don't want people using cell phones at their concerts. And that has caused a little bit of an outrage, people complaining about it, whining about it. And, I'll tell you what, one of the ironies about this, folks, I'm a photographer. Now, I haven't really done tons of concert photography, but big reason for that is I just don't like the BS associated with doing it. All the stupid stipulations. You can only, you have stipulations like you can only take photos in the first couple songs, for example. And what used to drive me nuts about that is a professional photographer, can only take photos for the first couple tracks and has to stand a certain distance away. But you have everybody with their cell phone all concert, throughout the entire show, lifting the cell phone up, taking flash photos with the cell phone. Yet if you're a photographer, you're limited to 2 songs and no flash photography, which I don't do. I don't like flash photography for concerts anyway. But nevertheless, on most of these stipulations, when you're a concert photographer, you deal with that. Now, some are a little bit ridiculous, like you have to be all the way at the back of the venue with a giant telephoto lens to get photos. I mean, there are some of those as well. You even get some of these bands that say you have to surrender the copyright of your photos. I've seen that before. I just don't get into concert photography. It's not my thing. But what I think is funny is Iron Maiden, or people getting angry over Iron Maiden requesting people not to use cell phones. I look at this from 2 different angles. The first angle is I understand where the band is coming from. They want to connect to the audience. They want the audience to focus on them and to be caught in the moment and enjoy the show for what it is. I understand that because I used to go to shows before smartphones existed. And I get being caught in a moment because I have been, especially when I was younger and I was really getting into these bands. I mean, a good example would be Bruce Dickinson and his tour in 1997. There were like 200 people there, but I was caught in the moment. I focused strictly on them. And the show went by, it felt like it went by in 10 minutes. That's how into the show that I was. On the flip side, times have changed. I could see where someone in the audience would want a memory of that show and wants to record it for 30 seconds throughout the show, whatever they want to do. So I understand where some of that outrage comes from, because look, you're focusing on the band tactically, but it's done in a different manner. You know, like the cell phone has replaced the cigarette lighter. Everybody remember, like back in the old days, you had the people with the cigarette lighters. The lights would go out and everybody raised the cigarette lighter up. Usually they had a Zippo, and you would see the flames in the crowd. The cell phone has pretty much replaced that for the most part. Here's my take on it. And bands are definitely probably not going to like my take on it, but my take on it is, let people enjoy the show the way they want to enjoy it. Being caught in a moment, for example, in 2025 is a lot different than it was in 1985. It just is. Now, I get it. If I was on stage and people were taking all these videos or taking flashes of me while I'm trying to sing, look, I get it. I get where the bands come from. But ultimately, a band is nothing without their fans. Now, I personally don't take smartphones and raise them up when I go to the shows or anything. I don't really do that. I focus on the band. I might take a couple photos, maybe if that. But I don't go into a crowd holding up my phone the whole time. To me, that's insane. But again, it's a much younger crowd. It's a different time. Let your fans that are paying their hard-earned money, paying a lot of money to buy your merchandise, paying a lot of money for tickets to your shows, let them enjoy the show the way they want to, within reason, obviously. And if they want to take a photo or a video with a cell phone, I don't see a problem with it. I don't understand why Iron Maiden would do that, but I actually disagree with their take on it. Like, if they're going to go and ban phones, I think that's ridiculous. That's just me. I'm not a big fan of the cell phone thing, but it is what it is. Again, people are paying a lot more money for tickets to go see you than they were 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. They are paying for $50 t-shirts, if not more than that. But if they want to use their smartphone, let them. And that's where I stand with that. Do I agree? Like I said, do I think people should be holding up their phone? Do I think they should be caught in the moment and not have their phone in the ear? Absolutely. I absolutely do not like taking my phone to a show and to take focus away from the show by taking videos of it and all that stuff. But that's my preference. Not everybody's like that. So let bygones be bygones. If these people pay that money for the show, if they want to use their smartphone, let them. Let them enjoy the show and the memory the way that they want to. And the other thing I've noticed too, and I've been backstage for shows with some pretty big bands in the past, most of these people are not holding their cell phone up the whole time. They might hold it up for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. I'm not saying everybody does that, but most of the time it's for short bursts, short recordings. They might take a photo. They're not holding it up 100% of the time. A couple people might do that. But me personally, I don't see that. Now, I could be wrong. There might be shows where people do that the whole time, where it's up there 95% of the time. But I can tell you, not everybody's like that. So there you have it. Let people enjoy the show the way they want to. Let them get caught in the moment the way that they want to, especially with the amount of money they are paying for tickets and your merchandise and the amount of money they pay to support you. Hey everybody, Tony here from the Metal Command podcast. Again, I appreciate your support. Since 1998, I have hosted this show in one form or another, starting off in radio and now in the podcast format. Again, thanks for watching. And if you like what you see and hear on this show, by all means, please hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell to be notified anytime I do post a video. And if you see this program on any other form of social media, please give me a follow there. Again, I always appreciate your support.